I've been a fan of the Warcraft series for a long time, ever since I was a little kid. I'll always consider Warcraft 3 to be one of the best RTSs, period. And for longtime fans of the series, there's always been the question of when are we gonna get a Warcraft 4? Now, obviously, after Warcraft 3, Blizzard went on to create the insanely popular MMO WoW, which I've also been a longtime player of. But, back in the day, Blizzard was always known for their top-notch RTSs from, the original Warcraft, Warcraft 2, StarCraft, etc., etc. So the question of Warcraft 4, at least for a while, seemed like an obvious one. But I will say, as each new year passes, it seems less and less likely that we'll get a Warcraft 4 for reasons that I'm going to explain in this video. I'm going to start this out by being completely honest. I don't think there's very much hope for Warcraft 4 anymore. That's not to say it's impossible, it's just, it's honestly not looking too good. And with how Blizzard has butchered Warcraft 3 Reforged, and completely murdered some of the WoW characters and a little bit of the storyline. I mean, overall, it's not a terrible story, but they've made some missteps, at least in my opinion, and I don't think I'm alone in that. With Activision at its helm, I now have to ask the question, do I even want Blizzard to make a Warcraft 4? Or are they gonna mess that one up too? That's a hard question to answer, because I know that despite all of these blunders that Blizzard has made over the past few years, I know there's still talented people working at the company, and I know what they're capable of. I've seen it. Blizzard has made great games time and again. It's so hard to root for them with the way they've handled things over the past few years. Regardless, I'll get onto the reasons why I'm doubtful for Warcraft 4. First of all, like I mentioned earlier, Warcraft 3 Reforged was a complete nuclear-level disaster. I honestly can't believe how badly that blew up in their face. I mean, I don't know how you mess up what's basically a remaster of a game. And unfortunately, that could spell doom for any potential Warcraft sequel. Because there's no doubt that Blizzard would use the release of a new RTS like Warcraft 3 Reforged in order to gauge the potential interest and profits of a new RTS in the future. They're gonna say, okay, we released this RTS. Based on how this is doing, do you think another RTS is going to do well? And obviously, Warcraft 3 Reforged blew up, not necessarily because it's an RTS, more like because it's just a disaster, but regardless, it's an RTS that they released, and it's an RTS that failed. So, since Warcraft 3 Reforged did so badly, I think it can hurt the chances of Blizzard ever trying another RTS in the future, like a Warcraft 4. And that ties into my second point, which is that RTSs are just not popular anymore. I made a video on this back in 2018 that I'll link to you so you can fully understand what I'm talking about. But the gist of the video is that RTSs used to be super popular, especially around the time of Warcraft 3 and StarCraft, but nowadays, they've lost most of their popularity, and many of the major players in the, I guess you could say, in the genre, like, say, Command and Conquer, aren't around anymore. Wait, what's that? Oh yeah, that's right. There is going to be a Command and Conquer Remastered. So maybe there's some hope for RTSs after all. And there are a couple other players out there as well. Maybe Command and Conquer Remastered will be really great and bring the genre back. But honestly, probably not. Look, I still love the RTS genre. I do. I wish it would come back. But MOBAs basically took all their market share. Ironic. Warcraft 3 could create other genres, but it could not save its own. Disclaimer. I know that technically speaking, Dota wasn't the first MOBA, but it popularized them, okay? We good? Thank you. Alright, so back to the topic at hand here, alright? The point of all this is that Blizzard themselves have created a situation that makes a sequel to Warcraft 3 look like a bad idea. On top of that, obviously, the story of the Warcraft games has always had a huge impact on the overall Warcraft lore and storyline. So, I don't think Blizzard would actually make a Warcraft 4 while WoW is still around, because I don't think that they would want to put a whole bunch of plot development into a game that would largely affect the story of another game that's still actively being played. It would be weird to log into WoW one day for it to be a post-Warcraft 4 game world, where if you didn't play Warcraft 4, you wouldn't know what the hell's going on. Now, they could get around this by having Warcraft 4's story take place simultaneously with the events of a WoW expansion, but then that would just spoil the whole plot of the expansion if those events already happened in another game. So the bottom line is that I kind of doubt they'd ever make a Warcraft 4 until WoW is done. And even though I can say that the quality and player base of WoW has diminished somewhat over the past decade, I don't really think the game's going to be dead anytime soon. You know, it still seems to be going pretty good. And I don't really want WoW to die either. I'm not too happy with BFA, but I've always had a place for WoW in my heart, and I'd kind of hate to see it go. Honestly, I would. And that's the thing with Blizzard. They've made a lot of really big blunders over the past few years, and their general direction has frustrated me for a long time. It really has. But when they do something right, they do it really, really well. I think they still have it in them. They could pull off a Warcraft 4, and I'd probably still give it a chance. After looking at the user reviews, of course. But I think, at the end of the day, the chances of them making a new Warcraft game, at least for the time being, is slim to none. The RTS genre isn't popular, their last RTS flopped, and WoW is still healthy, I think. I mean, I don't know, they don't release the sub numbers anymore, but I think it's still healthy. The point is, I think we'd have a better chance of getting a Warcraft 4 if the RTS genre had a major comeback, which is possible, and when WoW does finally end, there would be room to build onto the Warcraft lore with a new game. But given how big I think WoW still is, I don't see that happening anytime soon. So, will Blizzard ever make a Warcraft 4? In the next few years, I don't think so. But someday, who knows? Like I've said in videos before, this is the video game industry. Nothing's ever truly dead. What do you all think? Are we ever going to get a Warcraft 4? And what do you think of Blizzard currently? I'd like to hear your opinions. I've heard Shadowlands alpha so far is pretty decent. I mean, I don't know. But it looks like it's good signs. So, you know, maybe Blizzard's going to be alright. I don't know. We'll see. But that's all I have for you today. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more content. Thank you.